In this episode, you're going to start your journey in becoming a tequila expert. We're going to start with what makes a master distiller right here on the Tequila Hombre. Coming up next. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tequila Hombre, where today I'm going to talk about what makes a master distiller. Now, one of the things that kind of separates me from the other influencers out there is that I don't do commercials. I don't get paid by brands to do commercials. So I don't just regurgitate marketing information. Instead, I do the research necessary to really become knowledgeable about a brand, about production processes and stuff like that. And I actually, when I travel to Mexico, I don't do that to get content for commercials so I can get paid to do videos. Instead, I sit down with the producers and we discuss things that are affecting the industry, things that they would like portrayed to the public and relayed to the public. So you all become better consumers, more knowledgeable consumers, and eventually want to join the Tequila Hombre Agave Army, where, I don't dictate what you guys do, but we go out as a group and help educate people on what makes a good quality tequila and not just regurgitating marketing information. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into what is a master distiller. All right. So what basically happens, what concern that was related to me when I was in Mexico, I was sitting down and I introduced two master distillers that had never met before. We actually enjoyed lunch together where they were talking to each other, getting to know each other, which was great. They both are very passionate what they do and are excellent tequileros, excellent master distillers. And one of the things that came up was the fact that they throw the term master distiller around way too much in the industry and in social media. There's a lot of social media people that when they have a certain guest on, they'll call them a master distiller, which is 100% inaccurate. A lot of times I know the person they're bringing on and they're not a master distiller, but yet they'll still assign the term master distiller to them. So one of the things that the two master distillers kind of expressed to me was that there needs to be education as to what makes a master distiller. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making this episode for you. And we're going to break it down as to what actually makes a master distiller. And then I'll give you a list of some really good master distillers that I respect, so you can follow what they do, follow the brands that they make, and know that when you do that, you're going to be tasting a profile that's well made, a tequila that's well made, and you'll know that there's been a lot of passion and heart and stuff that goes into them. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump into it. All right. So these that I'm giving you are not my opinion. These are based on fact. These are based on what distilleries look for when they're looking to bring in a master distiller. Okay. So first of all, it's at least 10 years experience overseeing the operation of a distillery. 10 years, at least 10 years. So just because somebody is affiliated with a brand and does content for the brand and works for the brand, it does not make them a master distiller. So they need at least 10 years experience overseeing the total complete operation of a distillery. All right. So by supervising the operation of a distillery in the world of tequila, it involves a lot more than just sitting back and watching everybody do their jobs. You'll see a master distiller go out into the agave fields and look at the agave before they're being processed. And then they explain to the humidors how much penca they want on the piña for the profile that they're looking to create. They'll also then supervise them loading it into the truck. And then once it gets to the distillery, they'll go out and supervise the guys that are processing the agave, where they'll chop the agave in half, take the cojoyo out or not. They determine whether they want that to happen. And then placing, the agave into the oven, they will then monitor how long the cook happens on the agave. They basically watch the whole entire process. So after the agave are cooked, they'll then make sure that they're run through the roller mill. They'll make sure there's somebody watching the bricks to make sure that they get the sugar content and stuff that they want in the mosto before fermentation. They will supervise the processing of the yeast for the fermentation and the addition of the yeast. They'll actually monitor the fermentation as well. They'll go up and check the tanks, where I've been with the master distillers as they're going through the tanks and they're smelling. And if they smell something off, they'll make a comment to somebody like, you need to fix this on this, otherwise we're going to lose it. And then they'll go into the distillation area as well, and they watch what the distiller is doing. Now, so there's a difference between a master distiller and a distiller. A distiller is just somebody who's running the still and handling the distillation process. Master distiller is taking care of the whole entire operation. So they'll make sure that the distiller is doing the cuts properly that they want for the exact profile that they're working on. And they'll have multiple profiles that they can do different cuts with, and they make sure that those are handled properly. Then they'll go into the bottling line to make sure that the bottles are being processed properly and that everything's been sanitized and everything's done right. And they make sure that the quality control is where it needs to be for their distillery. So there's a lot involved in being a master distiller. So another important aspect that a master distiller needs to know is chemistry. And chemistry plays a big part in the production of tequila and agave spirits, where they need to know the chemistry, the chemical makeup of their fermentables. They need to know how to best process the fermentables to get the flavor profile and stuff that they need. They also need to understand distillation, which is also in chemistry, what they're going to pull, how it's going to affect the flavor, the kind of things they need to do. And so chemistry is a very important aspect for a master distiller to know and to understand in order really to be called and become a master distiller. And that is one reason why a lot of distilleries employ food engineers, food scientists that know this kind of information, that can relay this kind of information to them. They do the analysis in their labs, and they'll give them information about what's happening with their distillate so they can stay more informed and on top of the chemistry of their tequila they're making. The next thing that a master distiller needs is a sensory. It's be able to do sensory analysis. So many times when I'm sitting with master distillers at distilleries, they'll sit down and we'll do an evaluation together of some of the distillate that's coming out. And they'll say, this is batch so-and-so, this is batch so-and-so. And we will taste along to see how close the profiles are to each other. They shoot for close because you can't get exact in the world of tequila, but they shoot for close. And there's some times where I've been sitting with a master distiller where we're doing a sensory evaluation, and they'll taste one and they'll say, okay, this is off. This isn't my profile. This isn't the profile we're looking for. And they'll find out what happened. And one time they actually said, this isn't the profile we're looking for. And they said, oh yeah, we accidentally ran it for this brand's profile instead of this brand's profile. So that's what a master distiller needs to be able to do, is to taste what's coming out of the still before it's getting ready to be bottled, to say, this is the profile we're looking for, go ahead and bottle it or not. They also need to have an understanding of what happens in order to create these profiles, because the master distiller's responsibility is also in profile development. So when somebody comes to the distillery, if they do contract brands and says, I want to have a tequila brand and I want it to have these kind of flavor profiles to it. I want to be able to do this and this and this. I want it to be softer, or I want it to be more sweet and blah, blah, blah. Then the master distiller is the one that will sit down and say, okay, well, these are the things that we need to do. And these are the alterations we need to make in the processes in order to accomplish this flavor profile. And they need to have an understanding of what to do to create what profiles. So there's a lot of stuff that a master distiller needs to know. And unfortunately, they keep giving the term master distiller to people who don't have this experience or this knowledge. Now, I've got a great story to kind of let you in on just how dialed in a master distiller is with their profiles. I was having lunch with a master distiller once. We're sitting right next to him, and he ordered his tequila at his house brand at a restaurant. And they brought him his tequila, and I ordered a reposado from the same brand. And so I was drinking mine. I was like, oh, this is really good. And he took a sip of his, and he goes, hold on a second. He goes, let me taste yours. And he tasted mine. He goes, okay, yours is good. He goes, this is not my tequila. And I was like, what? They just brought you a pour of your tequila. And he goes, this is not my tequila. And he summons the waiter over. Waiter, come here, in Spanish. And the guy comes over, and he knows the people at the restaurant because he eats there frequently, and they know him. They know who he is. And he says, this is not my tequila. What the hell's going on? And the guy's like, what do you mean it's not your tequila? And he goes, this is not my tequila. This is not my profile. And I was like, ooh, what's going on here? And so the waiter gets the manager, and the manager comes over, and the manager, he says, this is not my tequila. taste it. It's not my tequila. So the guy tastes it and goes, okay, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, sir. Let me find out what's going on. Well, they found out that they bought the tequila through this really shoddy distributor in the area, really shoddy supplier that is known for taking cheaper tequila and filling up more expensive bottles with cheaper tequila and then selling them to some of the restaurants in the area there in Mexico, because they don't have the strict laws that we do with distribution here in the United States, the 3-tier thing. So he picked out that they poured some cheaper tequila into his tequila bottles at this restaurant and were serving it to people as his tequila. So they ended up pulling all those bottles off the shelf and getting new bottles of his tequila from his distillery and restocking them with the proper profile. That's how dialed in these guys are into their profiles, and that's how they know what their brands are supposed to taste like and whether there's something off with them or not. So now that you know what a master distiller entails and what a master distiller does and what kind of person to actually call a master distiller, I'm going to give you a list of some of my favorite master distillers and why I respect them and what they do. So these are some master distillers that you should look out for, and you should know that when you're buying their tequila, you're going to be getting a good quality tequila done right, no additives, but also that, they know the profile that you're tasting and they were behind supervising the whole processes behind it and everything. So these are master distillers I recommend you should look out for and buy their tequila and support what they do because they're amazing. So number one, of course, is Felipe Camarena. Felipe knows what he's doing. Does a great job. He's a fantastic master distiller, very knowledgeable, and he likes to experiment with things too. So Felipe is always an excellent choice. Another excellent choice, his brother, Carlos Camarena, also does a lot of amazing tequilas, different profiles for different brands. He's out in the agave fields. He's strong in horticulture, so he knows about growing things. So he goes out in the fields, agave fields, and monitors the agave. He monitors everything. And I've been with Carlos, where we're walking around the distillery, where he's watching what everybody's doing, stopping people and correcting them, making sure that they're doing the processes correct. Another one I really respect a lot is also additionally a Camarena, and that is Mauricio Camarena for Carrera Tequila. I love walking around with Mauricio as he's watching all of his people work. He walks around the distillery, making sure they're processing the agave right, making sure they're doing the cooking right, making sure everything, and he's really proud. And that's one of the things I really love, and one of the reasons why I like working with their brand a lot is when he walks around, he's got his chest puffed out. He's got a lot of pride, and he just likes to stand there and people love him. They'll ask him questions. He directs them to what they need to do, and they produce a top quality tequila. And he doesn't consider it his tequila. He considers it the family's tequila. And so I have a lot of respect for what Mauricio does with his brand Carrera. And that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy going out and working with them on special projects and stuff. Another one that I really like a lot and really respect what he does is, of course, Sergio Cruz. We have fun with each other, picking fun with each other, but he really knows what he's doing. He knows the profiles. He knows how to create different profiles. He's got a list of like 2,500 different profiles he can create. And one of the things that kind of separates him from the rest of the group is the fact he teaches chemistry at a local university. So he really knows on a molecular and a compound level what's happening with the distillation and what's happening in creating the flavor profiles. And that kind of sets him apart from some of the other ones in what they do. Now, another master distiller who I really respect a lot for what he does and the way he does things, and he oversees everything. He knows what to do in order to create different flavor profiles, and he loves experimenting, which is something that I really love to do when I'm working on special projects with some of the master distillers and stuff that I work with. But this is Jaime Villalobos Souza. He is an experimenter. He's got an amazing palate where we'll taste stuff together and we kind of match up a lot in our flavor profiles and what we like and what we don't like. But he knows how to make really good quality tequila, and he knows the chemistry behind it. He's got processes down. He knows what to look for in the agave fields. Their family grows agave. He's got his own ranch, so he knows the agave as well. And he goes out and just overlooks everything during the processes. And if there's something that's happening, if a brand wants something that doesn't fit within the scope of what he knows will create a good profile, he will say, sorry, I won't do that, and won't create that tequila profile. And I really admire that in some of the master distillers that I met that aren't afraid to walk away from a profile that's saying, this is not something that I would want to create for you, and not something that I believe in. So therefore, I'm not going to work on your project. Now, another master distiller who I really respect a lot, and I really love going and seeing him at his distillery because he's really proud of his operation. He only produces one tequila out of his distillery. He doesn't do contract brands, but he always makes sure that his profiles are exactly the way they should be. And that is Tony Saez at El Tequileño. Now, I love going and visiting Tony. We've been friends for several years, many years, where we like to have fun with each other. But one of the things I really enjoy about Tony is even though he knows I've seen his distillery, he'll take me out and we'll walk around the distillery together. And he's like, look, Mark, these agave, look at these. This is the most sugar I've seen in a long time. And he'll see something he doesn't like about a certain agave. He's like, no, take that one out. I don't like that one. That's not going into my tequila. And he watches his guys process the agave, watches them load it into the autoclaves. And then he's like, okay, let's go check and see what's going on with the extraction after the cooking. So then we'll go look at the roller mill, and he's like, okay, guys, what's the bricks on this? And he's watching, making sure that the yeast has been added to start the fermentation right away. And he just watching everything. He's giving people, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he's supervising everything. And then we'll go into the fermentation room where he's over his fermentation tanks, taking a whiff, looking at them, making sure that everything looks the way it's supposed to look and smells the way it's supposed to smell. And then we'll hit the distillation area where he samples some of the distillate. And he's like, here, try some of this, some of the still strength coming off the still now. And we'll both taste it. He's like, okay, yeah, it tastes like it's supposed to be. And he's just shows a lot of passion in the production of his tequila. And that's what I love seeing when I go to a distillery. Because when a master distiller shows passion and is involved in every step of the process, you're going to get a good quality tequila. And in all honesty, I have never been disappointed in anything I've ever tasted from El Tequileño. All right, so I've been talking mostly about all the guy master distillers. We can't forget the women, because there's some amazing women master distillers out there. So I'm going to give you a couple of female women master distillers who I really admire and love the work that they do. Okay, so the first female master distiller I want to tell you about is one that I've become really good friends with. She does such a fantastic job with her tequilas. She owns a distillery called Hacienda de Oro. This is Ileana Partida. Now, Ileana's had to kind of prove her way in the industry. She came from the Partida family, which is the family that made Partida tequila before they sold it. They're agaveros. They're agave growers. And so she's been, exposed to everything from growing the agave all the way through to the creation of a brand, the profile, all the way through to bottling and marketing of the brand as well. She did some work for a distillery called T-Tap where she made trace agaves as well as some other brands out of there. And then she currently owns her own distillery, Hacienda de Oro, where she's mostly been doing brands for other people and other entities. But now she's coming out with her own premium tequila brand in Amatitents, and I'll be doing a review. I have all the expressions of Amatitents to do a review for you guys and give you more information about Ileana. But she's a force to be reckoned with. I would put her among the top in master distillers, male or female. Definitely really a smart, intelligent person who's very passionate about what she does. So definitely give her tequila a shot if you want to try a well-made tequila by a amazing master distiller. All right, so the last master distiller I want to tell you about, well, she's more of a behind-the-scenes person. You guys probably have never heard of her before unless you went to the distillery to work with her. She's amazing, but she's very shy. You won't see her out in front of the camera. She's not as outgoing and stuff as like Ileana is, but she's definitely a more behind-the-scenes person, very shy. You won't find her, but I'm going to try to change that. I'm going to try to bring her out a little bit so you guys can get to know her and what she does. Her name is Miriam, and she's with the Casa Tequilera de Arandas, which is NOM 1499 in Arandas. I'll put a picture up on the screen here so you guys can see what she looks like. There's a picture with me because I can't find pictures of her anyplace else because she's shy, but she is remarkable in what she does. She knows how to do what she does. And she blew me away. I got to meet her for the first time on my last trip to Mexico and was really impressed by what she does, the flavor profile she does. And I would have never been able to meet her if it wasn't for a friend of mine who's doing a profile with her. So I want to thank my friend for introducing me to her. And I have an open invitation to go up to the distillery and do some projects with her. And I hope to bring some more information about her to you guys. But anything that comes out of $14.99, she's got her hands involved in it, including creating the profile for the original profile for Mi Genta, as well as creating the profile for the original Lalo tequila, which was first developed by her at the distillery. So she's an amazing person, amazing master distiller. And when you'll hear more about her, I'm sure in the coming months, because I'm going to talk more about her and try to bring more exposure for her, because I think she deserves it. Again, that's Miriam and at Casa Tequilera de Arandas and NAM $14.99. Wow, long episode. I apologize for taking so much time, but just a lot of information here that I know will help you become more informed consumers and, well, basically taking you on your way to becoming a tequila expert. So if you like the information I shared in this video, make sure you click the thumbs up and give me a like. It doesn't cost anything. And secondly, if you like information that's not paid for, not commercials, not biased, you want your information to be completely unbiased and honest, then you've come to the right place. Make sure you click the subscribe button right there and the notification bell next to it right there so you get notified every time I post a new educational, unbiased, unpaid for video. And don't forget to subscribe to the Hombre Cave Podcast, where I'll be going deep down in depth about tequila production and wine production and how close they are. And I'm going to give you some information that's really going to not only blow your mind, but turn you into a tequila expert. So make sure you subscribe to the Hombre Cave Podcast. I'll put a link in the description so you can find it easily. It's anywhere you can find podcasts. And until next time, like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila. So, hey, keep following here on the Tequila Hombre, and we'll turn you into tequila experts in no time. Salud.